Hi everyone, welcome back to a new video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the WWE 2K MyGM deep dive from their Ringside report that they did earlier this week. This is a feature I've been looking forward to for a while in WWE games. It feels like it's been lacking. It's the GM mode. I can't remember the last time it was in one of them, but I remember that my roster literally consisted of my favourites at the time and then a load of legends, so I'm hoping that's the thing. And I'd also swap out the current belts to like belts I prefer, like above me. I can see always in front of me I've got the Winged Eagle and the WWE Attitude Era Winged Eagle, the big eagle one. So I'd always swap them out, put the classic ones back in. So I'm hoping to give us that amount of customization that we can make the show feel more our own. Like we can maybe pick the arena we want to be in. Like could we pick the classic SmackDown arena? If we're going to SmackDown, the classic Raw is War, like can we have that, or has it got to, I don't know how constrained it is. So hopefully they'll show us some more today in this. So as always, I'll go through it. If there's anything worth pausing and talking about or going back on, I'll do that. So let's go. Come on.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Lionel Jinx. I am the creative director of the WWE 2K franchise, and with me once again.
So someone's got a better camera setup.
Fam, art producer on WWE 2K22, and welcome to episode 2 of Ringside Report, brought to y'all by the teams at.
I wonder how many more there'll be, because the game's not out like pretty soon.
The first episode of the Ringside Report with that sweet gameplay, click the link below this video to check it out.
I'm hoping we do get one that is about the custom character.
To the many areas and features of WWE 2K22.
And of course, you'll hear from both Lionel and myself on a regular basis through the game's launch in March on game updates, DLC, patches, and more. And also, again, we're not doing this alone because we're bringing the homies from the dev team with us. All right, so in one of our previous announcements, we ever so briefly called out the new MyGM mode, where you take on the role of a WWE general manager to prove whether you have what it takes
budget based
to run
as
the
well.
most successful brand in sports entertainment.
I do remember that if the shows weren't doing well, I'd just throw in like random street fights, extreme matches, or title matches. But then the viewership would drop because it's like a title match every week.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I have my MyGM outfit on today. I suited up for this
Very fancy. Very fancy.
Nice. Like Stephanie.
These guys couldn't even be bothered to tidy their bedrooms because they've blurred out the background.
So let's get right into it. We're gonna roll the footage.
Cool, let's go.
To start off, who are the GMs and what does selecting one versus another mean for the player experience?
So we let you choose a different starting point.
Does this guy have a book? He has a book or something, a post-it note near his camera. Definitely.
Choose your own GM, or you can choose a brand that you want to manage. So having those different combinations of things can affect the way that your game is going to play throughout. So you can play as Adam Pearce, Sonya Deville.
No thanks. No thanks.
Shane McMahon,
No thanks.
Custom GM.
No
you
thanks.
Can play as Raw, SmackDown,
Hey, they said Shane.
Okay. And
I thought he's gone.
The way that those things combine, because each one of those choices.
Could it not be Paul? Big Paul?
Power card that you can play throughout the course of the game. So like.
If I'm forced to choose one, I'd choose Triple H.
He's got an instigator card. If you play that, then all
None of these.
will be
None of
increased
these.
by one level.
Low tier.
Sonya Deville, you'll be able to
Throwaway GMs.
To me, the next part of the mode is my favorite part, is selecting the draft, right? So selecting your superstars, but I always find trouble like trying to select a balanced roster, because I get my eyes get big whenever I see like those big names on the board that's still available, and then I run out of money. So I know there's a lot that goes into booking a balance.
I wonder if it'll be similar to like
talk more about that process and
how many you're allowed. Like, is it 15 men, 5 women? Let's have a pause and see if there's any indication of like how many, or could it just be endless based on budget, and you could just get like a full show of cheap mid-carder, throwaway 24/7 people, and like a couple of big names. So let's have a look. So we've got cost per person. I don't know how much this reflects how much they're worth in real life. Roles. Alright, so literally we've got heels and babyface. So we've got babyface and heels, I guess. Classes, where they're at. And I wonder if there's something, usually in the past they'd have like a meter that'd show you how happy they are on the show, and sometimes they'd ask to like leave or go somewhere else, and you'd have to kind of renegotiate the contract or ask what they'd like, and it's like, oh, I want a title shot, I want to be taken more seriously, or I want more money, and be like, come on, Finley, get out, you're not worth that much. But yeah, let's see.
Well, once you get into the draft, basically that's your first look at all the superstars.
Unless this is showing. No, that says roll there.
And what you're going to find is you're going to see a lot of different stats that are going to stand out to you. You're going to see things like their class, their alignment, their popularity, their stamina. But what's really important to look at kind of early on is what their class is. So like there's giants, cruisers, specialists. And what you're going to want to do is like draft a kind of variety of different superstars that kind of...
Oh, that's slightly obvious. You do want to mix. You'd want some tag teams in there. You want some brawlers, giants, women, all the other things. So what's down here? Roster breakdown. Oh, so they do break it down into the sexes as well.
Go well together, and we do a decent job at telling you like, oh, these are going to be good matchups to help you along the way. But obviously, you can draft whoever you want, make your dream roster. And speaking of dream roster,
oof, there were what's with these images? You can tell they're all taken at completely different times.
Dream roster players, they can upload their own.
Just the sizes and the cutout of them all were like, oof.
Stars too, so they're going to be able to go wild with that. When they create their custom superstars, it will generate a cost for them. And speaking of which, when you're drafting, something to also be very careful about is how much each person is it's going to cost when you draft them. You have a budget when you...
Ah, cool. So you start with 2.75 mil. Okay, GMs will take turns drafting one another. Alright, so that'll be you against the computer. I guess, you'd pick SmackDown or Raw. The other team's doing theirs. So maybe make a list, pre-draft list of who you want just in case they get nabbed.
You go into it, and if you spend all...
What I'm hoping is that in some of the games you'd do, if a pay-per-view would do well, you'd get like bonus money, or like at the end of a Raw, you'd get like a review. So I'm wondering if like you can earn more. Ah, yeah. Straight into Legends. Straight into the Legends. Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, Rock, Stone Cold, Macho Man. Yes. I'll sacrifice some of the modern people that I'm not that bothered with, and get some legends in there.
Enhancement talent.
Enhancement talent. Jobbers. Jobbers, mate.
There's a lot of things you can do with money, so you gotta be very careful.
I'm exactly like Lionel. I go in, I draft all the available superstars I can, and I go in with $0 trying to set up this entire show, and I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble. Oh no.
Oh, that used to be a thing as well. The shows would cost stuff. So if you choose a singles match, it'll be relatively cheap. But if you put a singles match, like a ladder match, it'll cost you more. And a championship match will cost something. Or there'd be times when I'd be running out of budgets, so I'd put in like, all right, we're going to have a promo here, we're going to have an interruption here, just to pad the show out because I can't fill it with all the matches because I'm running low on money, trying to save money for the pay-per-views.
If you have the budget, you can have awesome matches in.
Yeah, so they've still got that, the show cost. So the match cost here, different match types you can see.
But that was cost a little bit extra money to set up. So if you don't have the budget,
yeah, oh, I forgot about that.
Normal matches or tag team matches.
Yeah.
No awesome match types. With these show logistics, you can have that.
Oh, right. So you can pick your... this is quite good. So you can either go bare bones for the show, or you can pay extra for this and this. So this one's probably like what the tour's like if you've ever gone to see a live show. Somewhat similar to that, with a little bit of screen and colour. Oh, I like they've put this in. Road crew. You can pay extra for them, pay extra for lighting, local signs and advertising. This is new. This stuff down here.
High school gym arena, or you can move up into like concert halls and even these giant arenas that can give you bonuses, not only just to your show ratings, but also if you achieve
I like that extra detail.
Goals assigned to those things.
We have a store where you can buy different...
Oh, of course you can. And is all that tied to loot boxes and money based on, oh, you don't have this? Do you want to go into the store and buy some more credit with real life money?
Power cards where you can buy a lot of useful things, like there's a health spa. So say I have a superstar that's feeling, maybe I put him in 5 Hell in a Cells in a row, so he's a little bit injured or something, like he's a little bit down.
So we do have here. So this is I'm guessing this is your email. You got a couple of emails from these guys. Stamina's low, popularity still high. It would be good if it had that other metric with how happy they are, not just the popularity with the people, but how happy they are within like their current role.
You go there for a week and rest, and then you boost some of your stamina. Just take a little bit of a break. But we also have a system of commissioner goals where basically Triple H will show up, will say, I want you to don't put Drew McIntyre in a match this week. And if you do that, then you can earn a power card from him. And some of those are very powerful things that will boost your ratings.
Okay.
Superstars.
All right. That's different. Got a Piper contract. God knows what's going on here.
It's really a lot of fun stuff in there.
See, I tend to be, the guy who just follows the rules, but I know, Alan, you always play like the villain type of GM.
Yeah, it's weird because, I don't really consider myself a bad guy when I'm doing it. My superstars react that way. So basically what I do is I will book them in the hardest matches I can to really boost my ratings all the time. And they'll complain. They'll come to me in the dramas like, I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling injured.
But also, if you do that often enough,
in another match, they come
to
me like, what the
crowd would not get, they wouldn't like it anymore. I could have like a 4.5 star intercontinental match one week, and it's like, right, okay, that's doing well. I'll do it again, and it'll be like 2 star. So I don't know how they've changed the internal like measuring systems, but it's like you can't just keep repeating the same thing over and over again. Unlike real life WWE, which tend to do that and don't notice that people are getting bored of it. Like, do we really want to see Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns again? No one does. If you do, you're probably about 6.
So I try and use some of the stuff to boost their morale a bit, to get them to stay around, give them a little bit extra money so they can hang around and help fill out my brand still.
So I want to get into, once you actually build out your shows for the week, let's talk about some of the different variations of how you can view your show, because there's the option to simulate an entire show.
Yes.
You can play these matches, but then also one of my favorites is that you can spectate as, yeah, exactly what Lionel's doing. You can
3-hour spectator Raw.
Let's call out that spectate mode is exclusive to MyGM. So, Chris, I want you to talk about what.
Oh, I'm wondering, because I remember watching the pre-match. Like when you boot the game up, if you're on your phone texting or something, and it'll just go into a game. Sometimes it's like that's where the game would show some of its flaws when it's computer versus computer. Sometimes they'll just link up and look at each other, and then figure out what to do. Whereas when you're playing properly, you're controlling it, and the computer's something, even if they're glitching or their responses aren't quite there, you won't notice it because you're concentrating on what you're wanting to do next or in that moment. So this might show where some of the flaws in the games are, or improvements potentially.
Matches, we really wanted to make sure you were able to do that. Another really cool thing is, and I know, like, maybe you thought that you wouldn't be seeing your GM anytime in the ring.
Because spectating sometimes would be okay, because you could spectate, but then you could interrupt with, like, send someone out there or your playable character or something like that. So I think I'm definitely just going to... I'm not going to spectate, I'll be
and interfere in matches
getting through that as quick as possible.
One of the ones you picked or one of your creative
Brock looks good.
You finally get to see yourself in some action. But Christina, like you're mentioning,
it's a bit more cut here.
You're going to be able to do a really good job at basically being in the production truck and acting as if you were running the show from that side. And it's really cool. It's something we haven't seen before. I don't believe so. You get to like change the cameras at will.
I was going to say, when he said we're going to be in the production truck, I was thinking like, can we change the cameras? Because I remember I watched an AEW thing behind the scenes of a guy just going 21 and then 15, closing on 5, and he would just all over, and he was so amped up for it all, and it looked crazy, like stressful crazy. But by the end of it, he was just exhausted, and just he knew he'd put on like a good show, and it were really good. So that's quite a nice touch.
Basically, how you think you should run the show, you finally get the chance to run the show that way. Try as you might, I know you want to maybe cheese a 5-star rating out of there. I know I'm assuming that's probably what you would do. But
oh God, I hate this. Hate this control system. It's so annoying. So annoying.
If you really want to get the highest rating,
I don't know how they could improve it. It's just
because it's the viewers that are going to give you your ratings at the end of the day.
Why you always gotta pick on me though? For real.
Yeah, I feel like Chris is saying Lionel isn't great at building these matchups. So he's not
I
gonna
mean,
get these
I think Chris,
5-star ratings.
Chris is looking at my stats and he's just seeing like, yeah, I never got out of the high school gym because I keep blowing my budget. Like I don't listen to I listen to Triple H all the time.
I wonder if that's detrimental. Like if you pick the lower tier arena, that's detrimental. Like out of the gates, you're already like 1 star. Are the audience going to care that it's not full of pyro, full of things? Like, will they care more about the matches than the aesthetic of the arena?
I'm just a rule follower, I guess, man.
Brian, I do want you to go into what happens post-match.
Definitely. So regardless of whether you are playing, spectating, or simulating, after you are...
silence. This guy seems to be an actual character thing. Ugh.
Your match card, you go to a nice post-match breakdown screen, get a nice little match report that you can click on for all.
Those are always good. I'd get them from like JR.
Well, when you went in this match, you can see that these styles didn't quite click, or it was, people were hoping to see maybe a higher popularity superstar in the main event, and we're surprised to see this superstar in there. So there's a lot of really cool things that can really help out for people like Lionel, who maybe just go in and do whatever the heck they want.
Here we go. Just gonna keep piling it on, huh? See how it is.
And then we get a nice breakdown screen that shows you exactly what you did that impacted your revenue, that impacted your...
Let's have a look at that.
And as Alan alluded to earlier, there's...
Cool. So, D quality match card quality, cool, star power, show bonus, show ratings, promo bonus. Alright, so there's nothing here that might say that being in a low tier arena is bad. Because you could choose a low tier arena, but then you could put some advertisement budget in and maybe get this up. So that's okay. That's alright. And then here you get the fake twatter.
Also some fun social media posts on the side when you get to these screens.
You can ignore all that. Starting cash show. Okay. Network deal payout. What is that? Is that even a thing anymore? Peacock? I don't know. I got rid of the network a while ago because I realised I was only tuning in for like the big pay-per-views, and it wasn't worth paying like £10 a month to just watch 2 or 3 pay-per-views a year. And I'd had it for like since it started. I might jump in,
but also giving you a little bit of flavor
now and again.
Going into your specific MyGM season. It's just cool having that kind of...
Spent more time watching old school stuff, but then I've got DVDs, Blu-rays of all that stuff.
15, 25, or 50-week season.
I'm glad you brought that up. But what can our fans come to expect when they actually play through a complete session?
Well, I mean, the goal
like a year.
is to win, basically. So you decide if you're going to play against an AI GM or you can play against another person. You can play local co-op. We've even figured out a way to do some remote play via Steam remote play type of thing. So you can play a little bit of online play that way. So basically, your goal is to win. So throughout the course of the week, you're going to put on a weekly show.
An online version might be good, but it might be like playing online chess, where you set up your show, send it off, and do it, but then on the other end, you're waiting for your friends to do their thing. So it might not be as responsive as back to back as it would be if you're just playing it by yourself.
But you're building towards...
Well, that might be okay.
5 weeks. So then there's real...
Because it's like a mode you'd play in between the other things.
With ending up with your
Might work.
WrestleMania at the end. So on your courses you're going through there, you're trying to build up money, unlock new arenas, get new logistics, get better crew, all that type of stuff, make your show bigger and bigger.
Ooh, so that's a bit of a change there for the crew. So the concert hall, crew still nothing.
All that type of stuff.
Gorilla crew. Ah.
Make your show bigger and bigger.
Any other things in here that we haven't seen? Fans plus and minus. No.
make more money, and then go into WrestleMania with a bunch of killer rivalries, put on your best show, and then just go in and destroy your opponent. That's the goal.
So you mean how I'm gonna destroy Chris the next time we play multiplayer? Because I mean, now that I got all the tips, I'm out of the high school gym, putting a smackdown on you, Chris. Done.
Yeah, I don't know if you got all the tips. Actually, speaking of like going through the season, and Alan mentioned this a little bit earlier. He mentioned the word dramas, and basically what dramas are is basically you as a GM get to interact with either the commissioner, which is Triple H, or your superstars.
So
and
Triple H
they're
isn't.
asking you for, like,
You can't pick him then.
promises or like
He's above all
green
this stuff
X's,
now.
Or Triple H will be saying you're doing this kind of poorly, and those are ways of getting tips as well. Like Triple H will tell you what you should be doing better. So I really hope you're paying attention to those line out, because you're gonna probably need those along the way. I don't need those, but I do want to make sure that I'm keeping my superstars happy. That's something that you're gonna have to also manage throughout the season.
Right. Not happy about losing his title last week as a former champion. All right. Yeah, so there's all this other stuff in there.
Is your superstars happy?
Quite well.
Wow.
You lost it.
I think one of the things that I love that you guys have done was building in those tips that you talk about. Like even like when you talk about the draft, like that little hint at the bottom of like, hey, here's who we recommend you guys draft based on who you already drafted. And so like we hold you.
So these recommendations will be people here based on in here. There'll be good rivalries for these guys.
Your hand throughout the entire process, which to me, it makes it way less intimidating when jumping in to this brand new mode to our game.
People want to draft their top guys, the guys that they like, which is great, but it's like, well, maybe this person will match up a little bit better with that person, just so they understand it, as opposed to just going, I have these two top stars, what's going on? They're not getting the ratings that I want. It's like, well, you have two guys that are slowly plotting around each other and they're not putting on a good match, right? So that's what we're trying to help people put on the best matches possible.
That's one point when you're talking about putting on those matches and pairing people up properly. There at the very end, when it shows you the match breakdown, you'll get a certain amount of stars, obviously, but then there'll be comments like 1.5 stars, disappointing, and that hurts. That could have picked any word, disappointing. I'm like, oh man.
But Christina, does that hurt more than like the fans calling you out for having a terrible show? I get, man, that stuff, I get butthurt. I'm just like, oh,
yeah, definitely.
You didn't like my show.
I mean, it just compiles at that point, so it's.
There's nothing worse than being a SmackDown show and just seeing someone like, oh, Raw really did great this week.
Oh.
What happened?
Right, putting them in as well.
Y'all, we are just about out of time, so I got one final question. So you're pulling up
there's like
MyGM
5 minutes
for the
left.
first time. Which GM are you picking? What brand are you running? And who's your first draft pick? Let's start with line.
I'll answer this. I'll make my own GM. I'm not picking any of these guys' ones. First one out of the gate, Ultimate Warrior. Raw. Easy. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. If you can go straight to Legends. If not, current day, probably Seth.
No, because there's been a lot of smack talk.
Okay.
Still Raw.
Smack talk, so I'm gonna stick with SmackDown because I'm gonna lay the SmackDown on Chris. And Alan, if you want to step in too, like I got it all for you guys. Brian, me and you are cool. I ain't got nothing for you, man. And for my GM, I am choosing Adam Pearce for obvious reasons. We have a lot of things in common. Shiny domes. But yeah, that's my top 2 right there.
I prefer the off-screen
No,
GMs.
hold on,
The
Chris.
on-screen GMs have always been terrible because a lot of WWE people cannot act, and it compounds it and makes it even worse. Weekly seeing these people poorly act.
You know what? I'm gonna go NXT UK, and I'm gonna beat his SmackDown easy.
You know what? Didn't even think those would be the options. I thought it'd just be the big 2. So you could pick a lower tier one, draft in some big boys. So I wonder if the money's different. I wonder if you do pick one of the lower things, it will be that. I'm definitely not picking NXT 2.0 because the whole aesthetic of that show is horrendous. NXT UK I've not seen in forever, but maybe.
Because you'll
bring
see,
The Rock
you'll see
over to NXT UK.
Then you'll be scared. But for my GM, I'm gonna go with Shane McMahon because we also have something in common. That's gonna be a battle for the ages. Just don't worry.
I'm fired, man. I'm gonna practice my people's eyebrow, man. I'm gonna get that down and Whip that candy ass. Bang!
All right, Alan, who you got?
I definitely have to go with Sonya Deville because she has her power card is basically she boosts the morale of the roster, which is very useful for me when I'm, driving people to the ground, making them very upset.
I wonder if you
Like,
if you
like,
choose your own and pick your own, you can pick what boost card you want.
Then I would probably pick Raw because that allows you to basically mess with the other show and beat to some of their superstars. But then once again,
Because they're first
when I'm
on.
doing my draft, I like to draft in pairs to look at guys that match up really well. So I'd probably go with Walter and Rey Mysterio because you have a big guy and a little guy. They're going to put on a great match, and they're going to mix really well together. You got a good guy and a bad guy. It's going to work out well together.
That was a very thoughtful answer.
Yeah.
Very, very.
He knows his stuff, this guy.
Brian, how about you?
Well, I'm going to go with probably the best GM you can pick, and that is me. I'm going to be the GM that I pick. Because like I said, we can have custom GMs, so I'm going to make my own character through creations. You can even download them through community creations. I'm going to create myself. I'm going to put myself as the GM.
So you could download some old school commissioners.
Still get an awesome power card. So
that's all right. Get some Attitude Era ones in.
Popularity of my lowest popularity superstar by 20 right off the bat. So that's awesome, and that fits with what I want to do because I want to go to NXT where I get I get a title match that gets a bonus to my ratings, and I'm gonna draft John Cena. And I'm going to put him with a bunch of maybe lower popularity, up-and-coming superstars.
Okay, I like this idea. Yeah, that's what I said.
Thing going on,
Yep.
Maybe a little John Cena versus Dexter Lumis or something, for WrestleMania. I think we can make that happen. Fans want to see it.
I like that idea. You know what? I completely forgot NXT UK might be options.
Who's my first pick? I'm picking some enhancement talent. A free agent. I'm gonna pick the Silence or whatever the mime is. That's my guy. I mean, he's
getting deleted. He's getting deleted. Never drafted.
You can acknowledge that, okay?
It's gonna be like this the whole time. Shutting you up. So Christina, right back at you. Who are you picking?
All right. Well, initially I was gonna go Stephanie McMahon, but I have this really fresh MyGM suit on, so I'm gonna go with Brian's answer. I'm gonna create myself. I'm gonna run Raw. And I'm going to pick the EST Bianca Belair.
What?
And then I'm going to go against Brian.
Ooh, there we go.
There's a lot of hype there.
You do that
I don't get.
Twirling your hair. She's going to rock that ponytail.
It's quite hot. It's quite hot.
All right, y'all. That is
just putting that out there.
The time we have for today. Thank you so much to...
Cool. I doubt they'll say what next week is. No, that's just goodbyes from them. Let's wrap this up. I think this might be very interesting. More interesting now that I remembered that NXT and NXT UK are a thing. So I'm hoping that budget-wise, if they're the same, like aesthetically show-wise, I did like the look and feel of the old school look of NXT UK. I don't know if they ever changed the look of that show, but the idea of being able to bring in maybe like a John Cena or a Rock or Seth Rollins and have the big guys and then the small, like Tyler Bates and all them lot, maybe bring in some other American guys and have it as a mix-up. It's an NXT UK show in name only at that point. It's got a better belt, like that NXT, that UK belt is probably the nicest current belt WWE have. I love the classic look of it all. It's not over the top with the big W's everywhere. It has a very cool look to it, so if I can pick a show based on what belt it is, I'll go for that. If I can swap belts out and bring them in. They didn't say anything about that because there's legends in the game. It wouldn't surprise me if there's something that it's a prize, or you can win it or earn it. The old school Attitude Era tag team titles, and you can swap them out from the sort of Spartan penny looking coin ones, which they're actually not too bad considering what else we've got. And the other good one is probably the US title. Those are probably the main good ones at the moment. Don't think much of the Intercontinental belt. I think it needs paint adding to it to make it pop. And I think the Universal and Heavyweight belts need a redesign. I've never liked them. But those are things that I'd hope they might put in there later if they're not in already. I guess we'll find out at some point, but yeah, I think I might go down the route of NXT UK bring in some big boys and just see how that works out. So let me know your thoughts below, what you think of this, how you think it might plan out. Is there anything that they didn't mention that you hope they'd put in? Let me know, because it might make me remember some of the old store stuff that was in there. And same with their question, what brand would you pick and who would you start picking with? I'm going to go NXT UK, and if I can dive straight to the Legends, Ultimate Warrior. That's me, straight out the gate. So thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff for the algorithms, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.